President Donald Trump says his early departure from the G7 summit has nothing to do with working on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Now, on the flight back to the US from Canada, he countered claims made by French President Emmanuel Macron that he left the summit to facilitate a deal between these two nations. According to US media, he now misses a day of meetings that are expected to include discussions with leaders of Ukraine and Mexico. Trump is also not expected to sign the G7 statement on the conflict between Iran and Israel.
And then a real end, not a ceasefire. And then we're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
All right, let's get you some analysis now. Bring in Na'een Jeenah. He's a senior researcher at the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection. Na'een, a pleasure talking to you. What do you make of that? Emmanuel Macron says one thing. Trump says, no, a ceasefire is actually not good enough. We want something better than a ceasefire.
Yeah, it's difficult to make sense of what Donald Trump says. I mean, what is better than a ceasefire? The Israelis might think better than a ceasefire is destroying Iran and installing a new regime and destroying all its weapons. Trump might think better than a ceasefire is making a deal that he likes. So one is never really sure what he actually means. The danger now is that Trump has become convinced. I'm not saying this has happened, but the possibility and possible danger is that he's become convinced to join the war against Iran on Israel's side. And if that happens, I think it could be disastrous, not only for the region, but globally.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because I wonder why an entire French president would make not only the statement about the ceasefire, but I mean, he went on and on about positive developments. He said, I'm reading from a quote here, right now I believe negotiations need to restart, civilians need to be protected. He said he didn't believe things would change in the next few hours, but since the US has assured that they will find a ceasefire and since they can pressure Israel, things may change. So it wasn't sort of one comment that could have been taken out of context. He seemed pretty set on a previous discussion he had with Trump, at least on the face of the extent to which he goes to describe the reason for Trump leaving early.
I mean, part of this is the Europeans wanting to kind of impose some kind of a liberal view on matters and interpreting things in that kind of way. And the other part of it is Donald Trump. That it's quite possible that he had this discussion with Macron, and they both agreed on something. And by the time he got on his plane, he changed his mind. This is not an unusual kind of thing with Donald Trump. He might have got a phone call on the way to his plane, or might have had some time in his car to think about it, and then changed his mind. All the speculation about what he really means is, I don't know how helpful it is, because we don't really know. He could mean anything. What is important, however, is that the G7 has issued a statement on this issue. A statement that does not identify Israel as the aggressor, does not identify Israel as having violated international law by attacking unprovoked another state, that does not identify Israel's illegal actions in terms of assassinating academics, in terms of attacking nuclear installations, in terms of attacking civilian infrastructure, etc., but a statement which basically blames Iran for getting attacked. And insists that Iran must make certain or give certain guarantees while it is under fire. And so in broad terms, Macron and Trump agree, as do the Germans. I mean, the Germans on Friday, before Iran even retaliated, issued a statement saying two things. One, that Israel has a right to self-defense, as if its attack was, defensive. And secondly, condemned Iran for attacking Israel when Iran had not even started its retaliation. The only member of the G7 that has had a different position on this is Japan. Clearly, it was outvoted in the meeting.
Yeah, certainly. Are you surprised by this statement, the statement you've just described, coming from the G7?
Not really. I mean, I thought it would be little more moderate than that because Japan had taken a very strong position, and the G7 generally tries to at least pretend that they make decisions based on consensus. But no, in general terms, after seeing what the Germans said and what Macron himself said also on Friday, and the British. I'm not surprised. I mean, I think what they're doing is essentially setting up a scenario where they're placing themselves as, the western part of the global north against the global south. I think they're embarking on a very dangerous path.
So we know that both sides in the various attacks since last week, Na'een, have targeted the other's oil and gas facilities. The point that Iran is making is that the US can stop Israel from continuing this bombing campaign. And if they can, why would they not?
Well, this is a good question. I mean, Iran is correct. The US can. Remember that even before Trump became president, he was the one who forced the Israelis to get into a ceasefire deal with Hamas. He wasn't even president yet. He's able to do that. He's the one who made a deal with Ansar Allah in Yemen, even though the Israelis didn't like it. So yes, he can force the Israelis to stop. He can threaten them with not giving them any more military aid, and that will help the process. Why is he not? I mean, partly because there's a battle in his base and in the Republican Party, a battle between kind of the traditional neocons who think of the US as a policeman of the world and fully supportive of Israel in that project, and the other part of the party now growing under Trump, this kind of MAGA part, which feels that the US shouldn't be wasting its money on other people's wars and should be focusing internally. And so, in terms of the first part of that, they want the US, the Trump administration, to fully support Israel. In terms of the second one, they just want to wash their hands of the Middle East and let those people do whatever they like. So, from both perspectives, Trump is in a position where there's no reason for him to impose anything on Israel. He sits in the middle between these two positions and tries to then make a decision on that basis. As I said, his initiative to start this round of negotiations with Iran on its nuclear program was a very positive one and showed positive signs that it might lead to success. What he should be doing is pursuing that, and within the kind of framework of international law and what Iran's rights are as a state, and what Iran's responsibilities are as a signatory to the NPT.
Na'een Jeenah, it's a pleasure talking to you as always. Thanks very much for joining us. And yeah, conflicting statements there from French President Emmanuel Macron about an Iran-Israel ceasefire, and Trump also exiting the G7 early.